Okay, so I had to change my wheel hub bearing assembly because there was a horrible metal on metal sound coming from it. It was obviously worn out. So fortunately I have a friend who's a mechanic who had all the right tools to do the job, which made it quite simple. I can imagine trying to bash it off would be frustrating, and you probably damage the stub axle when you get down to it. So this is all in retrospect. There's not much on YouTube that's very helpful, so I thought just having all the parts and the tools might help somebody else out to know what to go and grab if they don't have it, or what to ask for if they've got a mechanic friend. So this unit here is your hub, or your bearing assembly hub. That sits in there behind there. That's what all the wheel nuts connected to. Behind the wheel there's a rotor, brake rotor, and the caliper assembly. You can take the two bolts off the back of the caliper assembly, and the disc should stay, if you're careful, the disc should stay inside the caliper. You should be able to take it off and just place it over there on top of, I used a fuel can, and that way you don't have to spread the calipers and muck around with putting the brake pads back in. When you get down to the hub, you can see there's that nice circle there. There's a little cap that sits on that. It's not super robust, but if you just tap down between the cap and that edge and just move your way around, you should be able to bring it out a little bit just by tapping straight down. Once you get it out a bit, you can angle the screwdriver back. Let me get a screwdriver. And angle the screwdriver back then and tap it out and just keep working around until it comes out. Once you get to this with the cap off, there's a rather large plate with a nut on it holding that all onto the stub axle. If we go back into the garage, used that puller behind this to pull that off, and it left that chase there on the stub axle. I've popped that back in now, it wants to stay there. That's really frustrating. There we go, got it out. You can see there's a groove in that. So this was left on the stub axle, and it could be pretty daunting if you've seized the hub assembly, put a lot of heat through there. It may not want to come off. What I did was put that over there, and that fit into that little groove there. Tighten those up, and then put the puller onto that unit, and it pulled just straight off quite easily, which really made my day. To get the nut that holds the assembly on, off, used a 3/8 drive, or rather 3/8 socket on a pretty big wrecking bar, and used a pole as an extension. When you put the pole over it, don't put it all the way up the neck, because these things are designed to flex according to my friend, and you can snap them if you put the pole right up to the neck. Pretty much just sanded down the stub axle with some like 1000 grit. Don't want to take too much off of that, and put a little bit of grease around it, and slid the new hub assembly on and tensioned it up. Did it up to about as tight as you would do a wheel nut. And then I just put that onto it with the pole at directly 12 o'clock, and then just brought it around to 3 o'clock. Did that twice. It's quite firm. The assembly, as you can see, that sits against that in there, so you can't really over tighten it. The only risk you really run is threading the thread on the stub axle. It's quite a coarse thread, so unless you're doing a ridiculous tension, you should be fine. Certainly don't want your front wheel to fall off when you're driving down the road though. That's about it. Hope that helps somebody else out. That little tool here had a part number. The brand is Force, and I think it's 666105. And just that's how big that is. If it helps with scale, ruler probably would have been better. Anyway, that's about all I can tell you. But the rest of the videos on YouTube are pretty well, that's the right way to get it off without driving yourself crazy and butchering your stub axle. Imagine this is the same for the BA assembly too. Ford actually designed something intelligently. Leave it with you.